Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Ending Hour podcast.
Yeah, guys. So today we have a very special guest. We have Martin with Active Entertainment and Waveform DJs. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. So tell us, for starters, a little bit about, how you got into the industry and what the industry is about.
So I own Active Entertainment. I got into Active Entertainment as a DJ services company, first off. So I got into DJ industry, kind of fell into my lap. I was bartending at Sandbar. We were just talking about this before we started. And at some point, they either fired or a DJ quit. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but they didn't have a DJ. And they were like, hey, Martin, I was always aux cord guy while we were setting up and stuff. And they're like, hey, you want to DJ? And I was like, I don't know how to DJ. And they're like, you can figure it out. And so, plugged a laptop in with an aux cord and downloaded virtual DJ and just started figuring it out. And, did that for a while, went on to other bars, DJ'd at Sidebar for a long time. And then I was in school simultaneously. So I was getting a English degree, graduated with my English degree and moved to Spain for a year and came back and thought I was going to teach English. And a guy that I was working for in private events was like, hey, he was buying a wedding venue. So he bought the Brooklyn Arts Center and he was like, hey, do you want to buy this company from me? And we went back and forth over and over again because honestly, this was at the time, we were just coming out of COVID. He's selling me a business that has a really strong referral source, but, a lot of it was resting on him as the face, his relationships he's built, all of that. So I'm buying a business that doesn't have any assets. It's just, you're buying goodwill and you don't know if you can transfer goodwill from one person to the other. So I'm like, what am I buying? And eventually we came to agreement. I bought it from him and, took it to the next level. I think we've improved a lot of things, expanded, and now are kind of working into expanding into kind of the next phase of what the dream is, I guess, which is Waveform.
I mean, that sounds really awesome. I mean, I think that you took a challenge and made the most of it. So obviously that's kudos to you. That's a great job.
What is the branching off from Active to Waveform? So what is the main differences in between the two companies? The
simplest difference is going to be that Active is just private events. That's what we focus on. Waveform is booking for bars. So a bar that I DJ'd for a long time was Real Cafe. And actually, when I moved to Spain, I didn't want to lose that residency because I loved playing there. Mm-hmm. And so I told the owners, I was like, what if I, book your DJs while I'm gone? And then when I come back, I'll still have my spot. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. And so I took care of the calendar the whole time I was gone and came back and they're like, could walk back up there and get right back on the decks. So that kind of evolved into, we started booking for Husk and now we've started booking for The Bend and we've got some other places in the pipeline. The reason we got into that, or the reason this is part of what I think makes Active great and what makes us kind of developing DJ culture better in Wilmington is that Waveform is kind of a different step in the process. So I see it as you have education in DJing and then you get plugged into, rotations in bars. That's your next step from learning how to DJ. So You're going from bedroom to bars. And then your next step is private events because you can't live on bar pay. Mm-hmm. Once you have a kid, good luck. You gotta either turn it into a side hustle or, give it up and go for corporate America. And then I think the next step for us is, we're working on the bar side right now, investing in expanding that and building a brand around it. And then the next steps are going to be education, focus on that piece. So we'd like to do summer camps and things like that for kids.
Oh, nice.
Introduce them into DJing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I think that kind of completes the circuit for us because one, it's going to do education for kids, which eventually maybe when they get old enough, we can plug them into bars. Mm-hmm. But it also, once DJs get, too old to DJ weddings, at some point, you don't want to see grandpa walk into the room and DJ your wedding.
Right.
So you can start to plug them back into the education piece. They're the ones educating the younger people. Right. And so for me, that kind of creates this beautiful circuit that allows DJs to have like a long, happy life as a DJ.
Right. Yeah. It keeps them it's basically staying within the industry. The player becomes the coach.
Yeah. 1000%.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
and
really
see,
nice.
I love that though, because you just mentioned, having like summer camp stuff for kids and kids education when it comes to DJing. Because me personally, I don't know, I can only speak for myself, but I haven't heard of like, anything like that. I mean, you have summer camp for basketball and other things, and you don't ever hear about that. So you guys doing that, it's like a cool niche that you guys are at least in my opinion, only ones doing it around here. So, wish you nothing but luck in that. And I think you're having success with that.
Yeah, we actually kind of got my feet wet last year. No, it was earlier this year. A wedding venue I work with a lot had the Chamber of Commerce. They have like a program for underprivileged kids to kind of educate them on alternatives to like your traditional education path. So they kind of introduce them to business owners in the area and do workshops for them. So they came into a wedding venue and brought like a group of, I think it was about 30 kids, and they had a caterer and a florist and a wedding venue owner and a DJ business owner. And so they kind of split the kids up and rotated them through. And so I got to give like, a short compact DJ lesson to these like, I think they're 7th graders, and it was super fun. Like, we're going to do it again in September, and kids had a great time. I had a great time. I think.
Yeah. It's always nice when you can get back to the younger generation coming up and they probably like looked at you like you're Superman. They're like, oh, that's so cool. Cause like, it's definitely more of a modern age where, like back in the day, like Ryan was saying, like basketball camps, baseball camps, like football camps, that's pretty much all that they offered, surf lessons, stuff like that. But now it's like, people see like, whether it's like DJ Pauly D or whoever online, they're like, I want to be like that. And it's like, trends change, and I think that you definitely will kind of be able to capitalize on a very specific niche, and it would be very successful for Waveform. I definitely think that's going to be a hit for sure.
It's fun to see their like eyes light up when they get it too, like, because DJing in the simplest form is like a pretty basic task that like if you can count, then you can DJ. Like if you can count beats in a song, then
just beat matching
you can
and stuff.
DJ.
And then it goes layers deep whenever you're trying to, think of like we were talking, to DJs in the past and talking about how like as you grow your musical, knowledge, like you can kind of be like, wow, this song, complete different genre, but it has same beats per minute as this song. Watch me tie this in. And if the, 2 songs match for that type of event, that flow, and people just like, wow, he matched that together. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Your ear definitely gets better as you go, and you start to hear more things and learn more tricks. And
so with Waveform, like when you're as you're starting the business, what's going to be your first like kind of areas of approach? Like how are you going to start? Are you going to like look to basically just like start bringing bars under contract, and will it be like contractual, or is it be like kind of like good faith? How will all that work?
It's a little bit good faith. We're not interested in contracts. I feel like they're going to cause bad blood, and the only time a contract is good is if you're willing to take it to court.
Right.
And so I'm not interested in taking bars to court.
Right.
Honestly, Waveform's probably never going to be like a super profitable endeavor. It's something we've done for a while at a loss for a long time, because it's a good thing to have our wedding team be able to plug back in. And so like it keeps you fresh. Like me, for instance, I'm probably the oldest guest you've ever had in here. I don't know by competition, but I'm 39. So like I'm too old to be DJing at Real Cafe, but like I still at least twice a year plug myself back in. Like I played New Year's this year. I can still crush it at Real Cafe, no problem.
Oh yeah.
And that's like the valuable piece to the wedding business, which is where the money comes from. The other piece is that as you get older and like kind of separate yourself out of the bar scene, you lose touch with like who are the up and coming DJs, like who's talented.
Right.
Also super important, who's reliable and professional and stays relatively sober while they're DJing, and like checks all these boxes to where we can be like, okay, that guy would be a good fit with weddings. Like let's start to investigate like whether he's interested. And so it's twofold, does 2 things that support the other business. But more than anything, it's just kind of a passion project.
Right.
It has a lot to do with DJs getting paid what they should be paid, which is, not been a strong suit in Wilmington since I've
you
been
coming
doing
from
it.
the DJ market, that's obviously going to be something, like you said, like a passion project. So it's something where you're kind of trying to advocate for those DJs while also trying to get to know, like you said, the upcoming market, and kind of be like, okay, here's the playing field, and then try to make an evaluation of what each DJ's not only like potential, but like, individual passions and goals are. And then you can kind of bring them into the private scene, which is active entertainment.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah.
It's a good like sales funnel for us, kind of.
Now, we talked about it off the, before the camera started rolling, like, the difference between like Wrightsville Beach, and obviously Wrightsville Beach and downtown. We aren't that familiar with Carolina Beach, so I'm not sure if you are either, but, Carolina Beach kind of stays off on their own little island, literally.
That's right.
But are you interested in mainly like networking for like the typical DJs that are downtown? Or are you interested in like some of the ones that primarily play at Wrightsville as well? Or is it just kind of like, first come, first serve? How you like kind of going to who you establish a connection with when it comes to Waveform?
I mean, I can't think of any that are exclusive to Wrightsville Beach that don't also play downtown.
True.
So, I mean, anybody that plays in Wrightsville Beach, I feel like I'm pretty familiar with. Like Danny and Matt House, they both, rotate through our schedule. Matt's actually doing a lot of private events for us. And they're kind of the go-to guys at 22 at this point. Rai also at Red Dogs, rotates through our schedule as well. So, yeah, I mean, at some point, maybe we get into Wrightsville Beach. I don't think
because I know Housefire, he's been all over, even Carolina Beach. But, then Quay, obviously, Quay has a huge presence down in Wrightsville. Legendary Quay, Saturdays. He plays at 22 a lot on Fridays. So he kind of hits that double Friday, Saturday at Wrightsville, 22, and then Red Dogs. And then, Housefire, Rai obviously is kind of taking over Fridays at Red Dogs a lot. And then there's even Brutal, who plays a lot on Thursdays.
Yep. Brutal also is on our squad, too. He does a ton of weddings. I think he's doing 72 weddings this year.
Yeah, I saw that Rai said he did like 99 events in the year of 2024. So that's crazy. Yeah. It's a lot.
That's a lot. But so what is the official release date of when Waveform's going to go live?
Yeah, so we have a website that is very close to completion. We work with OBX Media, and they are working on some final details. What we're trying to build there is something that syncs well with Google's calendar, so that like when you're a tourist in town and you just like type in, Nightlife Wilmington, and that little like, the calendar that pops up when you're looking for an event or something, so that like anything that we're involved in is going to pop up in that calendar. So like, that's something I think that's overlooked with some bars, is like just kind of the promotional side. They rely on Instagram and don't really like dive into the other ways you can get on people's radar.
Yeah.
So we're working on getting that launched. We're very close to that. The official launch date for the company is April 5th. We'll be doing a big party at Real Cafe. We'll have DJs. We also have a live drummer and a live sax player that play along with DJs at private events a lot. So we're going to plug them in on that event too. And lots of extra production. So like lighting and lots of lights.
Nice.
Yeah,
so
you gotta have the lights.
Yeah.
You gotta have the lights, you're in bad shape. But that's awesome. So like when you guys release, are you guys already like looking for DJs to come in contact with you, or are you guys waiting until the release and then gonna make that step? Like, how are you guys doing the process? Like, what's gonna be different than what you're doing now than when you release in April?
As far as like function of what we're providing to bars, it's staying pretty consistent, except for like expanding a little on the promotional piece. So just like further building out our Instagram following and making sure, we get on that Google calendar for places. Also, sending out photographers and videographers every once in a while to, capture content for us that we also share with the venues. And then we'll continue to do like a quarterly event. So we're just going to rotate through. Next quarter, we'll do like a back to school time of the year party at Husk. And then, we'll just keep rotating around.
Awesome. So this is more like a two-part question. So from like a viewer's, like a avid club goer, from their perspective, what would be a way that like maybe if like they're like in college, like I know Ja kind of came into DJing as he, you know, was at UNCW simultaneously. So someone like that, for example, somebody like, you know, is going to bars and, you know, experiencing nightlife in Wilmington, North Carolina, and then they're like, you know what, I have a friend that's looking to DJ. Would that be like a perfect candidate to get involved with Waveform DJs? Like for them to get their friend that wants to be coming up and coming DJ?
I'll say that like we've had a lot of success with some of our DJs that, you know, come in as experienced DJs. Mm-hmm. We've also had some big headaches with some DJs that have come in as experienced DJs because you kind of run into something where they just think they know better and you can't coach them. And so the venues aren't happy with them. And no matter how much you try to like adjust what they're doing, they still get, you know, sucked back into the same bad habits of like, you know, playing dubstep at 10 p.m. or something like something that just isn't working. And you're like, nobody likes when you do this. Like, let's adjust this and this and this. So we like pull playlist histories and analyze what DJs do to like help them correct things that aren't working quite right.
Nice.
So that's how we work with like experienced DJs. But as far as like new DJs, I think, you know, Jesse Verduzco has a great relationship around here, a great reputation as a DJ. He's one of the first guys that I trained when I bought Active. He just kind of walked through the door, basically. It was like, he'd been DJing at, man, what was the name of the place? Right next to Red Dog's, Neptune's.
Oh, King Neptune.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He'd been DJing there, and I'll use the term DJing very lightly because he was just playing off of Spotify and like saying, you know, I'm a DJ. And, but he kind of walked through the door and said he wanted to do it. And I was like, well, cool. Like, let's work on it. And he was gung-ho and he put the time in. Like, I'm not a stand over your shoulders and watch you type of coach. I'm more like, hey, here's some resources, like study this and then let's reconnect. And so we did that back and forth and he just kind of took it and ran with it and became great. I think Matthew House is right on the same trajectory. He's been playing a lot at Real and a lot at Husk and a lot at 22. And he's another guy that I trained from, you know, he just said he wanted to DJ. He'd been doing some like roadie work for us at Active. And then we've got Grant. Grant was bartending at a wedding venue. And now he plays at the Ivy and Husk and Real again. And another guy that just kind of was like, I want to DJ. I actually went on Facebook Marketplace and bought him a $200 controller and was like, here, like, let's learn, let's figure it out. And he's still using that controller, like crushing it. And so we've got a girl training right now, which I'm excited. We'll be rotating in a couple girls. One that moved here from Florida and just reached out. And she's kind of shadowing DJs right now, but she's got the right mindset and she's got the skill set.
That'd be really cool too, because I really can't think of any like resident DJs in this area, downtown or specifically obviously Wrightsville. Like there's none that like when we've been out that we've been like, oh wow, like that would have called Ryan and been like, yeah, that's unique because like, you know, she won't have a bunch of direct competition within her gender. You know, so it'd be definitely a nice little dynamic.
I think there's going to be a big demand for it, but I've told both of them, like, I feel like the hardest thing is going to be just like relentless dudes, you know, like it's one thing to be a girl at a bar, like, and be a little unapproachable. Like, you know, you can give somebody a cold shoulder and walk off, but like when you're DJing, you're right there. And so like drunk guy wants to come hit on you, like you have nowhere to go. You're like, I'm stuck standing here. So
I've seen so many people trying to talk to the DJ and I'm like, dude, y'all don't know, like he's trying to focus on like bringing in the next song and making sure this mix hits are just right. And you're trying to like be over there, like talking to him and stuff. And it's just like, it's distracting for them. I know for sure. But
also trying to think like 5 songs into the future, you know, like, all right, I got to change up the energy, so I'm going to try and get to this song, but what 5 songs are in between that? But yeah, I told those girls, I was like, I'm going to buy each of you guys a taser, like, so you can crackle that thing, give someone the sign.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And then the second part to that question. So for any active like bar owners that are watching and they're like, you know what, you know, well, first, that's actually a 2-part question itself. So one, why would it benefit a bar or club to reach out and say, you know what, we want to establish a you know, relationship with Waveform so that they can help us, you know, and in what ways would that be more beneficial than them trying to stay in-house and do it themselves?
The pain points we're trying to solve is, I guess, what we're getting at here. So I you know, mentioned it a little bit, but I think one of the biggest ones is just lack of professionalism from DJs. And so we see it a lot where we get like the 10 p.m. call of like, hey, our DJ's not here. Like, can you get somebody over here? Or like, you know, last night our DJ, like, you know, fell over and blew a speaker, you know, like just the lack of professionalism is a thing within DJs. And I think in artist communities as a whole, it's like, that's why I think a lot of talent has representation to like provide that professionalism aspect. So that's one thing is like, one, we can keep an eye on and manage these DJs. So like if a DJ ceases to be reliable, ceases to be coachable, then we're going to remove them from our roster. And that doesn't mean that the venue owner needs to go searching for a new DJ. Like we've already got a team here. So if I fire a guy tomorrow, like there's still going to be somebody showing up on Friday for that gig. And so removing that headache of just having to deal with like the pain of a DJ sometimes. Honestly, I think the biggest thing is removing headaches. And the other thing is like coaching. I think we have a great relationship with Ryan over at Real. He's been like super supportive of us, and he is really good at communication. So like we tried a DJ recently there. He'd been shadowing for I want to say 4 months, and he got his first gig, and Ryan texted me and he was like, hey, you know, it's not the end of the world tonight, but like this guy has some things to work on. And so that was a good signal to us to be like, all right, let's, you know, reach out, give us your playlist history. Let's review it together. Me and you guys know Bobby Z.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Bobby manages our club schedule. He is a god with spreadsheets and details and keeping receipts on things. So me and him kind of analyze playlists together a lot. And we both looked at the playlist, had the exact same takeaways. And we're like, you got to switch this up. Like you got to play more girl pop, less guy rap. And, you know, and these transition sections are going to throw off your dance floor. So we can like look at it pretty quickly and be like, okay, this is what went wrong. And then we can adjust those things and make sure that next time he goes out, he has somebody kind of with him to help him if he needs a little direction. And then, you know, from there, you've got a guy that knows what he's doing, and because he wants to learn versus somebody that's like, you know, I don't need to learn anything. I'm God's gift to DJs.
Yeah. I feel like you definitely have to have that, you know, that willingness to learn. You have to have a humbleness about you in order for you know, a DJ, whether they're experienced or up and coming, to work well with y'all. But I think that y'all have, you know, a lot to offer them. And, you know, we definitely know Bobby. He's a wizard. Yeah. He's been, you know, told, or basically he's been complimented, Quay complimented on him on being a tech genius, that like anytime he has any tech questions, he always goes to Bobby. I know Bobby has a lot of residencies with like Varnish, Real, Ibiza, a lot of places downtown too. So, you know,
I'll say we were meeting with our web developers just last week, and I asked Bobby to be on that Zoom, and the guy that owns OBX Media is just like a genius. Like I'll tell you a random story about him, although you probably want to cut it. But
no, go ahead. Yeah.
He you know, hosts a lot of different websites like that they've developed, and they had somebody that, you know, uses their services, hacked and stole this person's domain, basically. So like was holding it for ransom. And CK was like, well, screw that. And so he like hacked into the hackers. Like he hacked the hacker and not only took that guy's website back, but took all of their assets. Like he took all of the websites that person held ransom. And so that's just the level of smart this guy is. Yeah. And so I was on a Zoom with like, you know, he's right here and Bobby's right here. And Bobby said something about like, hey, can we use like a database to automatically update this calendar function on the website? And you could see like CK's wheels spinning. And then they just like started talking to each other in Greek. And then they were like, all right, we better like set up a follow-up session so that, you know, the two of us can talk in a language we understand. And Bobby's fantastic. Like, another thing I tell DJs, if they're ever like, you know, I didn't see that date, I didn't see notification for that date or something like that. Cause we have like a app that we use where they have to confirm their shift when it's assigned. Nice. Otherwise it's like a signal. Okay, we gotta.
See, that's very important. Like something that you guys, when you guys pitch into, other bars or bars reach out to you guys, having that, hey, our DJs have to confirm, appointments. So, it's more structure. And I mean, that's a good point to have right there. Just, a good positive for you guys right there.
1,000%. This one DJ, he told me, he was like, I don't think I marked that date as available, and Bobby assigned me on this one. And I was like, you better look back at your calendar, because I promise you Bobby's going to have receipts on this. And he did. And he's like, never mind, my mistake. I am available. So like,
yeah. And Bobby definitely seems like I think he enjoys helping people. Like, from what we've heard, like he's always willing to help, and I think he enjoys it, and he has a lot to offer. So knowledge and, a lot of different avenues. So for sure. His
knowledge goes deep.
Yeah. We've been trying to get him on too. We need to line up something, because we usually, we're not out like at a specific location when he's DJing there. Mm-hmm. So we probably need to reach out to him on social media just to connect that way. So let's get him eventually too. Yeah.
I'll drop a hint.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
I'll get him in here.
I talked to him one night at Varnish. I think it was around Halloween.
Yeah.
We were so busy because we did 4 different vlogs back to back. Like it was like the week before Halloween, then 2 days before Halloween, then Halloween night, and then 2 days after Halloween. Then we did 4 vlogs and put it on our vlog channel, because that's what we do. Not only the podcast, but we have like additional media, which is specifically around vlogs and stuff. So that was a bender. That was definitely difficult to go out there, because each night had a different theme, and then of course with a vlog, it's going to be pointless if you don't have somewhat of a setting and a plot behind it. So it was more difficult, but we were just diving into that, testing the waters for future vlogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you guys deal with any of the, so I know that there's about to be MMA event that's coming downtown. Or you guys have anything involvement in that, DJ at all or anything like that?
No involvement there. Okay. We are doing a lot with Azalea Festival, which is coming up soon. We have a great agreement. We've got a long-standing relationship with the Azalea Festival, but we'll be DJing the garden party and the Queen's Dance and the fashion show, and there's a couple other, like there's a volleyball tournament, and there's a beer garden on the main drag. So we're almost everything that they need a DJ for, we're doing this year.
That's awesome, because that's one of the staples of this area is the Azalea Festival. So you guys having that and having a relationship with that, I mean that's really awesome too.
I can't take credit for that. Like Jay, the previous owner of this company of Active, built that relationship over many years. I stepped in and was like, I want more of this pie, but he did so much legwork for me that it was nice to kind of come in and be like, all right, this is nice. This runs itself. Like, what else can I do to, create more revenue streams and take it to the next level? It was cool to be able to see it from that perspective versus like building it from zero. You're kind of in a starvation mindset. Like, how do I get the first dollar through the door? Yeah.
Like how you start off as quick and successful as possible, comfortable as possible. Because when you buy a company, you're thinking, okay, I don't want this to be all for nothing. I gotta start out with something that gives me reassurance and comfort, and then I can start kind of taking chances and see where I can take it. What kind of avenues, multi-purpose and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then like in a way, because when you buy a company, you have what it already is, and then continuing that, but also eventually making stuff your own, and until the company is your own vision. So, I mean, but listen to you, if I was like a bar owner and, I wanted to make sure, like, because what I'm looking at you as is like, you just come with professionalism. Like your DJ is a professional. I'm not just going out and getting Joe Blow off the street, just seeing them, do some DJing on the side of the curb and grabbing it. Like when coming to you guys, I expect professionalism, timeliness, and not, doing something that was going to embarrass you guys, embarrass me. Mm-hmm. So, it's more of a, like a security thing too, to go with you guys when trying to get some stuff.
Especially with as much as a bar owner, nightclub owner, will have to manage, they're managing all the other avenues of the business, and especially the financial aspect, and it directly correlates to the financial aspect if their DJ doesn't show up or is unreliable, or if their audience is not, reciprocating well to that DJ. Cause then they're like, yeah, we went there and we were in town. We're not going to go there next time we're in town, something like that. It could be something like that. So y'all definitely bring in that reliability and take, like Ryan said, a bunch of security aspects that they look for, and you kind of take care of that for them, which is really nice. Yeah,
I think just riffing off of that, I was just talking to a DJ about it today, that one of the things that happens in bars, especially if you're there for a long time, is that the staff starts to feel like you're stale, because the longer you DJ, the more you figure out that ooh, this song and this song, they sound so good together. And then you get in this habit of when you play one, you're like, I gotta mix this other one into it, because it's just it fits, it's the right song. And so you kind of develop these patterns, and whether or not you're playing the exact same set every year, or every night, your bartenders, they're there listening to you day in, day out. And so if you're, at Sidebar, I was playing 6 nights a week at this bar, and I know for a fact those staff members were like, God damn, we have to, this dude had to do that transition again. But the good thing I think that we provide there is the rotation of DJs. It's it never allows you to get tired of a DJ, and that provides some protection for the DJs too, because your venue's not getting tired of you, and then you have to go, you're on the streets looking for another gig. But also it's great for the staff, and it's great for your regulars who come in and they're it's something fresh again, still kind of hitting the right notes, but from a different perspective.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so what is a way, go ahead, Ron.
I was just saying that it is important to keep it fresh, because, you could be in love with a DJ, it'd be your favorite one, but I mean, once you hear them, that many times in a row, then you're like, okay, man, just like anything else. Just get the different sound in here. Yeah. But if that's the same time every time, I might go to a different bar this night. So, I mean, that keeping it fresh, that's actually very important.
Yeah. And I think so what is a way that the general audience, not somebody that's involved maybe in the industry, but the, general club goer would be able to support active entertainment as well as Waveform DJs?
Well, follow us on Instagram. I think developing that following, I mean, in the past, I guess 2 weeks, we've gone from 0 to, I think we're at 350 now. So I think we're at, a good starter rate, but we've got a lot to go on developing that. But I mean, honestly, I feel like that's the biggest way we need support right now is give us some followers. But you can come out to our launch party, but you're probably going to be waiting in line for a long time, because it's Azalea Festival weekend on a Saturday at Real Cafe. It's going to be slammed whether we were doing anything extra or not. So it's going to be epic no matter what. Yeah, honestly.
So it is. So the launch party is open to the public?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, perfect. And what time is the launch party at?
So we're going to start playing music at 7 p.m. We don't anticipate a ton of traffic there, but then again, there's going to be a lot of street traffic. Cool thing about Real is you play music up there, you can hear it a block in every direction. Yeah. So people will know there's something going on up there. But I think it's really going to kick off around 10 p.m. The musicians will start at 11. So Dame Britt, everybody in Wilmington knows Dame Britt. He's, a god on the drum set. So he's been drumming some weddings with me recently. We started a package that has a drummer and a sax player. So Dame Britt, plug for him, awesome drummer. Also plug for Tristan Burns, who's our sax player. He also plays with Signal Fire. Signal Fire's album they just released just went to number 5 on the reggae charts on iTunes. So I don't know how much longer we'll have him around. I feel like he's gone. But so Dane and Tristan will be playing with us. We have some different DJs lined up to kind of do different sets throughout the night.
Yeah.
And
nice.
And then
we'll be there. It's it's gonna be fun. So definitely looking forward to that. And so I mean, with Waveform DJs, if you're a DJ, what kind of qualities would, like, for any DJs watching this that you haven't already established a relationship with, what kind of qualities would they need to possess? Obviously, like you said, open-mindedness, be humble, and whether you're experienced or not, come with a good attitude. But what kind of like qualities would you be looking for in order to make them a part of like the Waveform team? I mean,
yeah, you mentioned some important ones. I think we've hinted at this a lot, but one of the biggest things is just reliability. That is a big box that's surprisingly hard to tick off in the DJ world. Some of people that have like a great relationship around here, like if you start talking to some bar owners, they're going to have like a different opinion about that DJ because of exclusively the reliability thing. Also, I think it's just important to, it is your job. Obviously you're in like a really fun industry and like you're surrounded by drunk people all the time. But like the second you start taking it seriously, like this is my job, this is how I make my money and pay my bills, then maybe like, don't have that last shot and like, don't, mess something up that could be a good, step to your next thing. Or
it's very true. And I think like we've even learned it, like going out networking, because when we go out, we like to party, but we love to go out and network. And that's like our best time to go out and network with people that are like specifically within our niche. The majority of our guests, lie within. And so, we'll even know like, if we had a little bit too much to drink the night before, we're like slow, to get moving the next day. It's like, damn, we already lost it. Whereas if you like hit brunch and stuff like that, like you have even more network opportunities and stuff, so it's definitely, I think that, you make a good point there.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you guys are, doing it right. And honestly, like I don't have anything against like a DJ having some drinks while they're working. You gotta know your limits.
Yep. Brian has a saying, got to stay between the ears. So you just got to definitely, because there wouldn't be anything worse than, going past that limit. And then you're just like, damn, I didn't reach up to my full potential, or even worse, I made a fool of myself, something like that.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, just like as a person going out to just have a good time that night, I mean, if you get too drunk and you do something, then you're sitting there the next day, like, so embarrassed by it. But if you're a DJ and that happens to you, I mean, not only are you messing with your reputation, but you're also messing with your money. And, when something, like something happens like that, I guarantee that word gets around pretty quickly. And, that it messes with your money. So, like I said, staying between the ears when you're on your job and doing your job, it's a very important, thing. So, yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's like, a lesson I've learned progressively over the years. It's not something that I'll claim like, I've always been a very, professional on the point DJ. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've made a lot of mistakes and, learned a lot of lessons. And so I think I've, learned at this stage where I can and can't be.
So do you think, and that's a good point. I mean, a mistake is a lesson that can be learned no matter what, avenue it's in. It's perfect opportunity to kind of get better. Like if you do everything right, you're never going to learn. So yeah, it's a good point. But Waveform DJs, are you looking to only keep it local, or is there potential within like, the typical cliche question of your 5-year plan? Is there, like you said, you were from Charlotte. So is there an opportunity to go back there, Myrtle Beach, any of the surrounding areas that could have potential? I
haven't really thought about that aspect. My focus is on Wilmington, and I do want to we've talked about, developing that trajectory, like the full circle for DJs. I think things that kind of play into that are like, my 5-year plan is to have like a home for DJs in Wilmington, like, a space that exists that, can have everything from content creation space like you guys have built here, to like, studio space, to education space. So I think like, I want to just continue to develop what we're doing to where it covers like all aspects, like basically vertical integration of DJs in this area. And from there, like maybe there is somewhere to grow, but I'm only getting older. So I have to like look at this business of where do I expand it to where I can have enough revenue streams to where I can step away from DJing and still just step into a management role, have enough things to manage and make it make sense. So
Right. I mean, that makes perfect sense. You know, you've been doing this for a while, and you know you have an experience to now turn into a managerial role. Just seems natural. At least it does to me. So yeah, I mean, wish you nothing but the best in this. Really
Thanks,
do.
man.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So what else that we might not have talked about yet that's on the horizon for 2025 that Waveform or even Active will have coming up that you'd like to talk about to the audience.
Honestly, this season, my brain is so away from like anywhere down the road. Like I gotta get through April, and like then I can think about a bigger picture. But like, I'm sure we have some cool stuff going up in 2025. Like, I think it's gonna be fun to continue to do those quarterly parties because we want to keep putting different spins on it, like things that don't happen enough around here, like everything from I don't know if you've ever been to like a Drake party where like the DJ just plays Drake the entire night, and people get like cardboard cutouts of Drake and like dress up like him, and obviously Drake's got torn up not too long ago, so I don't know whether he's still got the same draw.
Might be a Kendrick party now.
Yeah, it might be a Kendrick party or Taylor Swift party or like whatever. Like there's demand to do like just slightly different things like that. And then like, silent discos or like Rai mentioned the other day, like let's do a paint party or like,
we went to a paint party back. It was right near the Wrightsville Beach Harris Teeter. There was like a bar to the right of that. And we went to a paint party. It was years and years ago. And it was so much fun. And every time I drive to go to Red Dogs and we go down like that road and I see that bar, I'm like, damn, I remember the paint party. So that's actually an amazing idea. Yeah. I think
because everybody loves a paint party. I don't know. I mean, at least the college kids, at least when I was, college or whatever. So, I think that'd be a success if that's something you guys end up deciding to do.
Yeah, paint party and foam party. We've been to one of each, and they're both fun.
If it was at Sandbar, I think, or at what was that place? Diesel. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that place? Mm-hmm. Do you remember after it closed down, it was empty? Mm-mm. And
I do. Yeah.
Did you ever go to like a show in that place when it was empty? So a part of my history that like falls in between the like, move to Spain and the like sidebar DJ is me and a buddy, Xander Farr, who's like a legend around these parts, lives out in LA now. But we were like booking touring artists to like come to Wilmington. And so we booked like Bass Nectar at the convention center. Rest in peace to him. He's canceled. We booked Pretty Lights at Diesel while it was shut down because the owner just had this empty space. And so we got in touch, like called the number off the window and we're like, yo, your space is sitting empty. Like, can we throw a concert in this place? And he was down and he just wanted like not too much from us, but we also did like a Halloween foam party there and we booked Datsick, who's a pretty old school artist, but we booked a ton of different stuff that came to Wilmington and just had fun throwing big concerts. And,
that's what I feel like Wilmington needs as well. Like I feel like everything's kind of repetitive. Like kind of like who's going to be where on what night, and there's not like, at least to my knowledge, maybe I don't do enough research, but there's not enough like unique parties like that are going to be memorable. Like I never went to another foam party or paint party, and it wasn't because I didn't want to. So I didn't know they were around. I was just like, damn, And would y'all be doing that? I mean, obviously it'd be for the public, so it'd be more tied in with Waveform than it would be Active. Active's just private.
And honestly, one of the reasons we wanted to create Waveform was that like Active is very firmly in the wedding space.
Yep.
And honestly, we're in like a, I won't go as far as to say like luxury, but we're definitely at the higher tier of pricing for DJs in the area. And so it just didn't make sense for us for like, Real Cafe sharing content and tagging Active. And then you're like posting, $500,000 wedding, right? $200,000 wedding. And then like,
like, what's that beer going to cost it?
Bar. So like, the things just weren't matching on the branding side. So that was one reason we wanted to split it out.
I think it's genius. I majored in business when I went to UNCW. That's where I graduated from, and I think you separating those and kind of being able to make sure that their separate demographics don't, because they're not going to naturally mix. I mean, if you're paying for a very, very, very expensive wedding, you may or may not be that type of person that goes out and parties downtown or parties at Wrightsville and stuff like that. And, you know, if you are, then you still apply. But if you don't, then you can set active in more of a professional sense and Waveform and kind of more of that laid back, fun, vibrant sense.
Yeah, because like you never know what people are going to assume when they are just like, you know, somebody told them, hey, check out Active for your wedding. They're like up in New York and they're like, you know, pull up our Instagram. Like you never know what they're going to assume when they see like, you know, a bar pop up like on the story shares or something. So
very true.
I still like incorporate that into the sales conversation a lot. So if I'm talking to somebody, a potential client, and they're saying like, what sets you guys apart? Like, I think that's part of the conversation, because I don't think anybody in the wedding space is like worth much of anything if they've never cut their teeth in the club bar scene. Right. You know, if you've always been a wedding DJ, you've never gotten the reps in. Like you've never done the, you know, from 3 to 6 nights a week of like day in, day out, I'm mixing and like trying to keep myself fresh and trying to find my next gig. And
yeah.
I just, you know, I think you're missing a lot if you skip that step.
It's always nice to see a DJ, you know, plug Rai, for example, Rai, who can kill it on a Friday at Red Dogs. Yeah. And then, you know, like if he has that Sunday afternoon wedding, that he's going to kill it there too. Cause he's just so like diverse in his skill set. Yeah.
No, it's definitely a different ball game. Like when you're playing for when grandma's in the room versus like, you know.
Yep, that's what Quay said. He's like, it's harder to play Sexy Red. Grandma Francis is sitting right there next to the speaker.
Damn right.
Yep.
No, he's right about that. I try to have that level-headed conversation with a couple before we get in, but you know, some are adamant. Like every once in a while I'll get a client that's like just adamant. I want, you know, you've got to play WAP and it's got to be unedited. And I'm like, well, can we like save it for later in the night? Like, you know, that's not a song that's going to make me blush, but like, I know who's going to be at the wedding. And, you know, I had a client that told me like, you know, I don't care what my mom thinks. And I'm like, well, what about all your friends? Like, do all your friends not care what your mom thinks? Because they're going to feel a little bit weird on the dance floor, dancing to that with like, you know, Grandma Francis sitting over in the side, right?
Then you got that awkward drama, and then you're just like, damn, dude, we would have really rather not done this and been excluded from this drama, because now the mom's pissed at the son of the groom, and it's like, damn.
Yeah. I feel weird.
Yeah, then you're awkward. Weird. It's like an embarrassment.
And really, like, if you really think about it, at least the way I would think about it would be, you know, not initially thinking, you know, hey, you know, they talked to the DJ before this, but you know, as a guest, maybe you don't thinking that first, so you're like, yo, DJ is like up here really bold, like with playing WAP out of nowhere, like with Grandma Francis sitting there. So yeah,
dude, I'm always real quick to like say, you know, this one goes out to the bride, or like, you know, special request from the bride, because you're right, like I don't think people assume that you've had that interaction with a couple before you get into the wedding. And so like sometimes, like one of the first weddings I did, man, it's a weird one, but this couple said they want, you know what New Wave 80s is? So like Morrissey and The Cure, and like this couple, super cool couple, you know, loved them, and they said that's what we want for our dance floor. It's like nothing else. And I was green, so like I didn't know how to like coach them into a better decision. And they were like, you know, we don't care if anyone dances. That's just what we want to listen to at our wedding. And it's like, okay. So I put together a playlist, because there wasn't going to be any requests. There wasn't going to be any crowd rating or anything. It was just like, this is what we want, and do it. And I put together a playlist that I'd love to listen to, but like, you know, nobody else was enjoying it. And so like, I'm mixing it, and like the photographer is coming up to me like, yo man, like, club it out. This ain't it. And like, and the planner's coming up to me like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is what they wanted. And then, you know, I had guests coming up like, and I'd be like, nah, they wanted this. And they're like, 80s. Well, can you at least play like Whitney Houston? And I'm like, nah, I can't play Whitney Houston. Like it doesn't fit the bill. And it was, you know, it was such a tense thing for me. And the couple emailed me the day after, and they were like, can you send us a copy of your playlist? Like, we loved it so much. And so like they were on top of the world, but everybody else at that wedding, from vendors to guests to everybody, thought like that went really poorly. Like, and what's wrong with that DJ? Like, why'd he fuck their wedding up like that? You know,
that's probably gonna be, I guess, like one of the like most difficult things doing weddings as much as y'all do. Y'all are experts in it, obviously, but damn, like, that's got to be tense. It's like you're trying to manage all of the people that are going to be there, between the vendors, the guests, the bride and groom who are paying you, or the parents of the bride and groom who are paying you. It's like, that's trying to keep everybody happy is pretty much impossible, but you just try to manage it without their big day being a catastrophe. And so kudos to y'all on that for sure.
Yeah. Sometimes you just got to ask them, like, who do you want to be happy at this wedding? Like, cause I've got some clients that are like, we don't really expect the old people to dance, and we don't really care if they do or not. Like, we just want music we like and our friends will like. And like, so it's got like a clubbier feel to it. We're not typically going all the way to unedited WAP, but like, and then, some people want you to cater to the whole group. So it's just about understanding. Yeah.
And I feel like, I guess it's the time of day that wedding's happening too. Like, if your wedding starts really early, it's not going past dinner time really. But if it starts, around maybe 11 or 12 o'clock, you might still have people there, around 8, 9 o'clock, depending on how long the ceremony is, how big the wedding is, stuff like that. So then you can kind of get done some of that, more club scene type vibes as it goes on and on, gets later and later.
Yeah, because like later it gets, the older people start going home, and then people got married usually are probably younger. So yeah. I mean, I see the evolution of how the night would go. Yeah,
we've been to enough weddings. We see that too. Yeah, the transition. Yeah.
They don't have the stamina either. Like their knees those joints aren't what they used to be, and they'll like come out enthusiastically, and then you'll just kind of like, you just keep an eye out on them, and you're like, all right, I'm going to keep like throwing them a bone every once in a while. Like, I'll throw in an 80s song, like here and there to like.
They're getting excited for YMCA and the line dances, and they're probably going home early.
Bro, yeah. Don't get me started on line dances, because that's a touchy thing that Bobby Z will get involved. He'll jump in on this conversation too about how we feel about line dances. But man, it's a crutch of a shitty DJ. Basically, it's.
I hate to go to a wedding and hear just like an abused like whole like line dance after line dance after line dance. You're like, holy shit, when are they gonna play something else?
I mean, like one for the good time, or maybe two. I mean, at least at my wedding it would be like that, but not more than two.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I would have talked you out of it in the consultation if you would have been like, because we have like a yes or no. Do you want line dances at your wedding? And so like, I'll say the vast majority of clients are like, no, we don't want those at our wedding. Yeah. But like every once in a while I get a yes. And then I know that on our final consultation that I'm going to ask them like, did you click yes on this because you think you need them or because you like them? And we've already ruled out that like 90% of the people don't want them. But then that 10%, probably half of them are like, well, we thought, if you needed a line dance, like we'd let you have that tool in your toolbox. And I'll just tell them like, look, if we're in a situation at your wedding where like a line dance is the only thing that gets people on the dance floor, like we've got much bigger problems than that line dance is going to solve. Like, we can get them out for a song. They're going to sit down right after it. So like, let's think about catering to them better with the music so that we don't need that so much. But yeah, I mean, I can't stand them, but if you pay me, I will play it for you.
I think you have a lot of successful stuff, going on. I think Active's awesome because you carry that niche, and you bring to somebody that's having the one and only big day. A lot of people say, oh, my big day, and that's what a wedding is known as. And you take away that, you give them that safety net to make sure that they know that their big day is going to be covered in a large area that really needs to be covered. I mean, the DJ is one of the biggest things, when you're organizing your wedding. And then for with the Waveform DJs, from club scene, bars and nightclubs, they have so much to worry about. They want to have reliable, and appropriate and professional, DJs at their clubs, their venues.
And I love the vision that you have, now separating the two more. Like you said, you have more of like a different demographic. People are getting married, more like elegant, classy stuff like that. And then you do have your DJs, which it doesn't have to be not classy, but it's more of a partier scene, or going out, letting your hair down type vibe. So you guys splitting this up, it's I think it's gonna be very advantageous for you. And from me and him, wish you guys nothing but the best on it for sure.
Well, we really appreciate you coming by and tapping with us. We really appreciate the invite to the party. We'll definitely be there. and you know, anything that we can join up with you and, you know, link in with. Yeah. Whatever you got it going on,
just give me your song requests ahead of time, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we got a couple good ones for you, but we have a guy that we listen to. He actually just won a Grammy
as a songwriter.
Yeah, as a songwriter on Chris Brown's 11:11.
Nice.
But he's a you know, up and coming artist out of Philly. His name's Rocco. But yeah, we'll have to send you like a song or two of his. He's you know, really good artist. So
I'll check it out for sure.
Sure. Awesome.
I believe in the rule that I'll say people, and I'll even say like white people especially, dance to lyrics. And so like I know you guys are trying to wrap this up, so I should just let you out, but
no, you're good.
I think like I've noticed like people dance to lyrics, and that's like a rule that serves me really well as a DJ. I think if you accept that perspective versus I think old school DJs were more like introducing people to music, and that's kind of gone away. Like in different locations, like maybe bigger cities where you have like a, you know, house nightclub or like one that kind of has a specific subgenre. Like
right.
you can introduce people to music. But just a top 40 bar, like you can't introduce people to music. Like you got to play something they know. Cause man, that crowd will like, they'll choose to go to a different bar real quick, especially downtown. You got so many options of places to go to. So you got to keep them hooked, and I will check out Roscoe, and I'm sure I'll respect it, but man, I'm not risking my night.
No, yeah, and that's like Quay played it for us once. Rai even played it for us, but it was at the beginning of a Friday. Quay played it the last song on a Saturday. We like literally snapped it, like sent it to Rocco on Snap. But
that's a smart place to put it. Yeah,
But at the very beginning and very end, you can kind of test the waters. So if you play that at 12:30, you might be making a mistake, and it's like, damn, you just shifted the vibe for a song request. It's like, appreciate Trey. Thanks for like,
It sucks because like no matter how good it is, you
like
know,
we might love it, and somebody else might go, "What the fuck is this?" So it's like, yeah.
I remember when 679 by Fetty Wap came out. Like I remember playing that song like too early, like before it had peaked in popularity, and I remember just the crowd, like the dance floor, just kind of like fizzling out real quick when this song came on, and then man, come back a month later, and that's like number one for however many weeks running, and so it's like it doesn't matter like how dope that song is or like how perfect the beat is or anything. If people don't know it, I
think that goes a lot into DJs. DJs have to, it's more important for them to know their audience than to test the waters based on their own personal preferences. Cause I mean, there's a lot of songs where I'll hear it out and, you know, like it might be like a white girl bop and I'm like, damn, Taylor Swift again. But it's like, I know that there's white girls that are standing on the wall are going to absolutely love that. And that's going to make their night. So it's like, you got to respect it. You got to go, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like, I mean, I would love to never hear I want to dance with somebody again, but like, you know, or Party in the USA, like, you know, take it and throw it as far as you can. But, you know, you gotta give the people what they want, and you can't be trapped in that. Like, honestly, like song selection is more important than anything else. DJing.
Agreed.
Like I will say I've seen DJs that like don't even know how to beat match crush a set because their song selection was so like on point, and they're just kind of like echoing a song out and queuing the next one up like at a good spot and like rocking it. People are like, nobody's like, oh, that didn't, you know, that transition wasn't great. They're just like singing and drunk and having the fucking time of their life. So, you know, don't get too lost in the weeds with like, I gotta be the world's best turntablist if you want to like, you know, make your money as a club DJ.
Because when those people go home and they're like, yo, that was so lit last night, like they're going to be thinking about like you played their favorite song or maybe their 5 top favorite, you know, songs, not, you know, like how great that transition was or if the BPMs were just perfectly lined up on every mix. Yeah. You'll get some respect for that for sure. If somebody knows like the art form of DJ, then they'll be like, damn, that guy really knows his stuff.
Oh yeah.
But like, they're going to mostly remember like that you played the popular songs that they know the most. Yeah.
If you check both those boxes, like you're God.
Yeah. You know? Then you're the next world star DJ for sure. Yep.
Damn right.
Well, Dan, go ahead and, you know, plug your socials for both Active and Waveform. Okay. And then, you know, just, you know, we'll see you on the 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, guys. So, you know, like I said, what we're going to do, we're going to get all your links, everything that you want, you know, plugged in we're going to get it, and they're going to be in the description below on this video. So you guys make sure you go and like, share, subscribe, and follow Active and Waveform Entertainment.
So at Waveform DJs, at Active DJ.
Perfect. Simple as that, guys. And so Real Cafe on April 5th starts 7 o'clock. It's going to really pick up at 10. Make sure you're there. Don't miss out. And thank you for another great episode in Any Hour Podcast. And we'll see you on the next one.
All right, guys. Thanks.